r/AskReddit. What's the story of the one kid never allowed back over at your house? At my birthday, he fell asleep on the toilet and fell off and got shit everywhere. Instead of cleaning it up, he just left without saying anything. He left his shirt and shoes behind, so he was half naked. The great shit and run we called it. He was 31 years old. Me and the kid were around 9 and were playing games on my DS. After she went home I noticed that one of my games was missing. Asked her later if she had it. She said no, but I wasn't really convinced. Few days after that I was on the phone with another friend and told her the story and how I still believed the kid stole the game. Turns out my friend had her phone on loudspeaker and the kid was over and could listen to everything I said. Next time I met her she threw the game at me and insulted me. Didn't want her back at my house afterwards. We never actually banned anyone from the house while my daughter was growing up, but from grades 1 to 5 we did ask for prior notice before one particular friend came over. We needed time to childproof the house. For a good 4 years, every time this girl came over she would manage to break something. Sometimes just one thing, sometimes multiple things. Sometimes just small items, sometimes it was actual structural damage. If we knew she was coming over, all flatware and glass drinking vessels were put away, and paper or plastic was used. All solar yard lights were quickly removed from the walkway. Anything that could smash, squash, or feel physical pain was shepherded out of the vicinity. She wasn't maliciously destructive, she just had no idea where her body was in space. Happily, this turned around for her by middle school to the point where she actually became a pretty good athlete, and she was always a sweetheart, but man, for those few years she was a human wrecking ball. My older sibling had a slumber party when we were in elementary school. One of the friends, who I'll call C, woke early the next morning, marched over to the bottom of the staircase near my parents' bedroom, and screamed, "Get your ass down here and make my breakfast." To my mother. She barreled down the steps with utter fury in her eyes. C never stayed at our house again. When my sister started to date casually at 16 she went out with a boy in her class. He was a nice looking kid, but from a family of weirdos. The boy became obsessed with my sister, waiting for her outside school, telephoning constantly, and following her home trying to get her to like him. One night my sister noticed him standing across the street from our house in the shadows of some trees. He was just staring into our house. My sister got scared. I noticed our dad slip quietly out the back door. Sneaking to a darkened window I watched as dad went down the alley behind our house, crossed the street, and strolled up the sidewalk to where the boy was hiding behind a tree. My dad, who was 6 feet 3 inches tall and weighed about 230 pounds came up behind the boy, who was about 5 foot 10 inches, and grasped him by the back of the neck. I saw dad turn the boy to face him and get in his face, talking quietly. The boy shook his head no a few times, then nodded yes a few more times. Dad pointed down the street and released the boy who walked quickly away, never looking back. Dad casually crossed the street and came in. My mom asked, "Where have you been?" "Oh, I just got some air," Dad answered. Nobody else had seen this. My sister said the boy never bothered her again. Kevin the underwear thief. We were around 10 and playing with Lego in my room. He left to go use the washroom. I vaguely remember thinking he was gone for a while and was planning to joke around with him about having to drop a massive deuce. 10 minutes later I hear my mom exploding and yelling for my stepdad. He had snuck into my sister's room and was shoving her underwear down his pants, and she caught him when she was coming up to see if we wanted a snack. Apparently this wasn't the first time either. Never saw Kevin again, and his family moved a couple months later. For some ungodly reason I invited a boy that lived behind me over to hang out one afternoon. When he arrived he ate all of my snacks. I literally mean all of my snacks. Ate my brownies and potato chips and goldfish crackers. Spent his whole visit watching my older brother play Call of Duty in the living room. And when I tried to get him to come play with me, he told me I was too fat to be attractive to him, so he would never date me, and I need to leave him alone. When I finally got him to leave, he kicked my dog on his way out. The next time he tried to come over he showed up and knocked on our door, and when I answered he said, "Are you gonna come hang out, or what?" I blatantly responded, "No, you're mean to me, and I don't like you. Go away," and slammed the door in his face. He was never allowed past our fence ever again. Fuck that kid. This kid shit in a Dorito bag, then hid it underneath my bed, and then tried to blame it on my sister. Nobody ever got banned from my house, but I was never allowed at my best friend's house after an incident when I was a little kid, like way back in 2004. Her dad was building a clubhouse outside from wood and scratch materials. My friend got this brilliant idea to throw a bunch of mud on the clubhouse so we could garner sympathy from our other neighbors and get money from them. I think she was inspired by the cartoon Ed, and Eddie. So she and I went outside and started throwing big slabs of mud on the clubhouse. Our hands and arms were covered in mud. Then, her mom ran outside the house and came up to us and started screaming at me, saying I was disrespectful and a disgusting brat, while my friend, who was the ringleader of the whole fucking thing, just silently stood there and watched me cry. Then I went home, and the lady called my mom, who beat me senseless. It was awful, and I was never allowed back. After that, I never really went to anybody's house. Mayo. My husband ordered pizza for my daughter and her friend. We'll call her T. He put the pizza $sign on the table next to the front door. When the pizza arrived, the $sign was not there. After he paid for the pizza, he had the girls empty their pockets. Of course, she had the exact amount he had left on the table in her pocket. She insisted she has brought it from home. After a call to her dad, he insisted she return the money, but never made her apologize. Instead, made excuses for her. In retrospect, my daughter realized that there was a direct correlation before T's visits and $sign missing from her bedroom. She was banned from our house. I had a friend in 3rd grade who would purposely wet her pants when she came to my house so that she could borrow my clothes and take them home. After an excessive amount of times that this happened, my mom caught on, and she was no longer allowed to come over. My husband ordered pizza for my daughter and her friend. We'll call her T. He put the pizza $sign on the table next to the front door. When the pizza arrived, the $sign was not there. After he paid for the pizza, he had the girls empty their pockets. Of course, she had the exact amount he had left on the table in her pocket. She insisted she has brought it from home. After a call to her dad, he insisted she return the money, but never made her apologize. Instead, made excuses for her. In retrospect, my daughter realized that there was a direct correlation before T's visits and $sign missing from her bedroom. She was banned from our house. My first year of college, I had a huge birthday party. The one person that I didn't personally invite blacked out, walked into a house a few doors down, took his shirt off, and sat in a closet until the dude who lived there found him. The residents were unbelievably cool considering the situation and kind of laughed it off. So blackout kid comes back to the party, continues being a huge ass, trying to fight people, making girls uncomfortable, typical douchey college bro stuff. Finally, there are a few of us left, ready to crash. The person whose house we were at said something like, "Does anyone need any pillows or blankets?" And blackout bro yells, "Fuck you, you piece of shit." I'm a fairly pacifist type of person, but 4 or 5 of us looked at each other, and somehow without ever vocalizing it, like we all just knew what we were gonna do, grabbed him, duct taped him to a plastic chair, and left him on the porch until morning. When we woke up and went out to free him, he was completely silent and had the most embarrassed and regretful look I've ever seen a person have. Remember Pop Rocks? The broken up rock candy that crackles in your mouth. They were all the rage when I was in 3rd grade. I lamented my longing for Pop Rocks to my dad. Turns out he worked for the company that made Pop Rocks. He was thrilled to feel like a superhero to his little girl, and that Christmas I got a manufacturer's box full of Pop Rocks. There were probably 100 packages of Pop Rocks, and I felt like the coolest kid ever macking it rain and giving them to my friends. As spring broke, the neighbor kid John came over. He saw the box full of Pop Rocks. Before I could stop him, he grabbed the box and ran outside. I chased him down to the creek near our house and got there just as he flipped the box upside down and emptied the contents into the creek. My heart broke as a reason for my newfound popularity crackled, fizzled, and faded away in the sunlight. I asked him why, and he said he just wanted to see what would happen. My dad asked what happened to all the pop rocks and I didn't have the heart to tell him. But I didn't let John into my house after that. I used to babysit my friend's kid. She was, at the time, dating this very questionable guy. Her son one day, while at my house, got mad at my son over some toy. Kid looks at mine and says fuck you. Say what? I know, totally not the cud's fault. He wasn't even old enough to understand what he was saying. He just repeated what mom's boyfriend says when he is angry. But nope, not happening in my house. And I told the mom that her son wasn't welcome back until she calced assure me nothing of the sort would be said again. Kid never came back. This kid would come over to use our bathroom just to piss all over the floor. Happened a few times before my parents would tell him to go home. I was the kid never allowed back to my friends. She got a new hamster. We were playing with it and put it in its exercise ball. I had the bright idea of pushing the ball down the stairs. Hamster died by the time they got to the bottom of the stairs. My mom made me buy a new hamster for my friend with my allowance. Damage was done. I was never allowed back. This girl I was friends with grew jealous that I got along with my little sister so well and that we always looked out for each other. This girl is like 5 to 6 years older than my sister. One day, when no one else was at the playground, she hit my little sister on the head for no damn reason other than jealousy. She was so proud of it too. Banned from her house, and, apparently, her mom banned her and her brother from the playground. More than a decade later, and I still want to punch her in the face. Ugh. Fuck you, Vanessa. We lived on a farm and my best friend came to stay for the first time. We were outside in the field when we found a blind rabbit. We went to call my dad who came out to investigate. I was pretty used to this sight by now. There's a common rabbit disease in the UK called myxomatosis, which is a slow and miserable death for a rabbit. The best thing to do is put it down immediately, so that's what my dad did. Picked it up and twisted its neck. I don't know why neither me or my dad warned her that it was about to happen, but she was crying non-stop until her mum came to pick her up. She's still my best friend, but her parents never let her stay again. Thanks for watching UpGoat Reddit. Try like and subscribe button if it still works.